Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear little knuckleheads, you've wandered onto the #1 prog rock channel on all of YouTube. Oh, yeah, it's the Prog Corner. And today I got a really good show for you. I've got Steve from Skywhale. Now, our good friends at D's Case PQR just reissued it last year. And Steve and I have been talking since September about getting him on the show. Steve, how are you? Welcome.
Yeah, good man. Good.
Here's your album. Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I love this record, The World at Mind's End. We're going to talk a bunch about this album, and, you know, you've got some stories, but really I wanted to pick your brain because I really dig this album a lot. I was so happy to get it. And I was just curious what your musical influences were, right? I mean, what was the stuff you were listening to, you know, as a little kid or as a, you know, prepubescent, you know, those years when your brain is starting to fire just right. Music starts becoming like really important in your life. Just kind of wanted to dig into what you were listening to and anything else you want to talk about, man, because I know you've had a rough go in the last couple months. That's why it's 5 months it took to get you on the channel, man. But welcome.
Fabulous. Yeah, well, it's a good old story, and it started with my parents. You know, we had a rather pretty large house, lots of rooms. I had 3 brothers, and my mother was an amazing piano player.
Really?
She played Chopin most of the time, you know, and being a little kid, it didn't really get me, you know what I mean? 4 or 5 years old, I used to watch with amazement, but it didn't used to light up my soul. And then my brother brought home a blues record one day by Leadbelly, I believe it was. And there were already guitars around and stuff. I'll tell you about that in a sec. And as soon as I heard this, I thought, hang on, this is doing something that my mother's music didn't do.
Right.
And luckily, I say my mum's a pianist. My brothers were all musicians. And they used to rehearse in my house. So from being 6, 7 years old, there were Stratocasters, 335s, you know, all everywhere in the house. And me being a little kid, I daren't touch them, you know. But you know, musicians, I said, look, you know, can I? And they just said, you just took, you know, play whenever you want, you know, but don't you be careful. And that was it, you know. So every time I was alone at home, I used to open the guitar cases, get out a Strat, and you know, I guess. Then there was only like Hank Marvin and people like that in England who were famous, you know, talking 1960, 65, I guess.
Yeah.
But we had these fabulous guitar players in the house, and my brothers, and my mother had a large record collection. And like I said, I didn't really take to Chopin too much, but I was looking through one day, and I found the Brandenburg Concertos by J.S. Bach.
Bach, Chopin didn't do it for you, but did Bach do it?
I was 7, and I put the record, and I put it on there, and I remember sitting there listening to all these instruments interacting, harmonizing, you know, all the words that I didn't know at the time, and I thought, this is for me, fabulous.
I will make a case, Steve, that Bach was the very first prog musician.
Yes, indeed, and still is, and still the top.
There's something about Bach, right? There's something about that fugal way of writing where you have all that counterpoint and you have all this stuff that your brain needs to pay attention to, right? It activates a lot of different neurons in the brain the same exact way prog rock does, man. Chopin doesn't do that. You know, Beethoven does it a little bit, but Bach is ground zero for me.
Especially. And you being a guitarist, you'll know how wonderful it is playing Bach on the guitar. Do you do that? Well, guess what the next thing I found in my mother's collection? Segovia plays Bach. I'm just going, I put this on, and all of a sudden there's this beautiful stuff that I'd been listening to being played by one genius on the guitar. So straight away I'd got Leadbelly in this here and John Lee Hooker and this stuff, and I got Segovia, and then there's Julian Bream, John Williams, and all this. And that's when I started working hard, you know. I started practicing 2-3 hours a day. And
well, that'll do it. I mean, if you're listening to Andre Segovia and Julian Bream and you're a young guitar player, it's almost too much, man. I remember when I was a little kid, I was taking classical guitar lessons, actually from a student of Andre Segovia's. And yeah, he was Segovia only took like 10 students a year, and it was primarily his wife that did most of the instruction. But The first time my guitar teacher went to Spain to try to become a student of Segovia's, he told him that you need to quit everything you're doing, move to Spain, find a Spanish woman, get drunk every single day, and then come back and see me in 2 years. So that's what he did. He said the finger, he said all the notes were right, but all the intention was wrong.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Weird.
Oh my golly. Yeah, anyway, so that was that part of it. And of course, listening to the Bach, I started hearing Bach piano pieces. And there were 3 pianos in my house.
Okay.
3. And I remember I used to stand playing it like this, this business. I didn't even sit down. I used to do it like this. And eventually I realized the Bach, there was loads of piano playing. So I found some books of preludes, things like that by my mother's collection. And then, of course, I found the preludes and fugues, which you all know very well. Right. Anyway, so that's that side of it. At the same time, my brother was a guitarist, had started his sort of first job. He was 16 or 17.
Now, what year are we in? Are we still like mid-60s?
Yeah, we're talking still 60s. I was about 8, 9.
Okay.
And the guy he worked for, would you believe, was a jazz fan. He knew about John Mayall and all the guys we knew. But my brother came home with Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk, Oscar Peterson, Miles Davis, Buddy, every single one of them, and Ray Brown. And I just spent days just listening to these people. And, you feel yourself transforming. I'd been sort of blues and then classical. All of a sudden, I was thinking, I want to do this, man. I want to be a jazz guitarist and pianist, And I guess that's when you start practicing 5 hours a day and stop going to school so often. And luckily, more than once, my mother would come home in the middle of the afternoon and I'd be sitting playing the piano and she'd just walk in and she'd just stand there looking at me. Why aren't you at school?
Yeah.
I'm trying to finish this. And she'd just
this is more important. That's why.
She just walked away, man. Just leave me to it. But she was the only one. My father was, you'd better go to school and get your exams and all this shit.
Yeah.
And luckily, it became so dodgy going to school that I think they asked me to leave. Actually, they gave me the option either to come to school or to leave. And I said, well, I'd rather stay at home. And that day when my mother came home, I told her, I said, they gave me the option to leave or not. And she said, and what did you say? I said, yeah, I'd like to leave. And she went, fair enough. She said, are you going to stay at home and play the piano all day? Like almost the shoes crossed. And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, yeah. That's all right then. She said, but don't tell your dad for a while. Anyway, it went on like that for years. And even when I left school, she let me stay at home and finish my practicing. And, I guess, probably like yourself, when you're 15, 16, you're playing in your first bands.
Oh, yeah.
And, the first band I ran into when I moved out of my own circle was, you know them very well, probably Babe Ruth. That man. Yeah, I got a call. No, we didn't have telephones. I just got a message from my brother from work. His son has got a band, and they've heard you're a good guitar player and you've got a Strat. Do you want to come along? And I went, and guess who was there? It was Dave Hewitt, the bass player from Babe Ruth.
Oh, yeah.
And they were called The Outrage, and everything about it just suited me. In going from, I don't know, it was Virgin on punk what they were playing, a really wild harmonica playing and fast beats. Anyway, I got to know Dave and played with them. I guess that was my first outing,
Wow.
And Dave went on to be very famous, like he is. He's still going, by the way, from my hometown in Yorkshire. And I think he's there, actually. I see pictures now and then,
Really? I love Babe Ruth. I love their first album. Just so good. First bass, the Mexican. Well, that's good stuff right there, man. I love that band.
Yeah, and we had a little club in town called the Builders Exchange where all the blues guys used to go. And you remember how exciting it was going down there with your Strat the first time you were going to play on stage,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful. I remember it now. And the people I knew then, I still know them, and most of them are professional musicians now, funnily enough.
Right.
Even in their 60s and like me in my 70s, man.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know, but the thing is, probably like you, I can tell. I feel 25, man.
That's right. That's right.
my little skeleton's a little bit dodgy, but what's going on there? It's even more exciting than it was when I was 25, because I can do it now. You know, I don't have to think about it. I can just do it. You know, fantastic.
It's one of the things about getting older, right? Is you can actually pursue some of the things you want to pursue. When you're young, you don't know what you're doing. You're just doing like going off of pure instinct and
that's right. Yeah.
So we get into the 70s, and you know, somehow, some way, you weasel your way into the annals of prog rock history. And tell me about the scene and some of the bands that influenced you, and what led to you forming Skywhale and putting out that incredible album.
Well, yeah, first of all, I mentioned Oscar Peters and people like that.
Okay. Yeah.
John McLaughlin. And, oh, man, I saw Frank Zappa and Mother's Invention at the Albert Hall in 1968. I guess I was 18 years old, and it was mind-blowing, you know. So that's, you know, some of the influence. But also I was gigging a lot, I was playing a lot of jazz, quite a lot of blues. And, of course, I was working. And to work, you don't really work too much in Yorkshire when you're young and you've got long hair. And you want to do it. So I went to London, you know, and I joined Root and Jenny Jackson. You'll see them on show stuff somewhere. The last time I saw Root, he had a gold suit on the front of a Glocky magazine, so he's still around, you know, old black Jamaican guy. And I toured with those guys for a bit, and then I joined the pop group. Remember Cupid's Inspiration? Yesterday has gone.
Okay. I know that song.
No, she did. Yeah,
I didn't know who sang it though.
No, it was Cupid's Inspiration, and they were coming down. They'd been number 4. I think they were in the Guinness Book of Records for the longest time. They were number 4 for 3 months or something, something like that. And would you believe it? I saw the advert in the newspaper. What it was like in London those days, we used to buy the Melody Maker and the Musical Express on Wednesday morning. Musicians wanted, you know, you'd see people in the queue, guys with long hair, and you think, I bet he's buying, you know, and you go home and you look through the phone numbers, and it just said, band just been in charts, blah, 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 looking for lead guitarist, vocalist. And I went, whoa, I'm not a vocalist, but I'm going.
But that's how they did it back then, right? Bands would always put like a little advert in Melody Maker or NME.
Yeah, it said international band above it, you know, an advert like that. And anyway, we had an audition in a pub, and I got it quite. You know, I said I could sing, and I did a bit of backing vocals there. I said it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know, not your forte.
Anyway, I lasted in that sort of business because it's not really my forte. And they were coming down. I mean, there'd been a big show, but they were coming down, you know, like bands do. If you see them now playing that song, there's a big orchestra and it's thumping. And the last time I played them, it was like playing in a pub with a 4-piece band. But again, they're doing fine. They're still going. They've still got some of the same guys, you know.
Isn't that amazing how there's a career to be had, even if
absolutely
a few people remember that big hit you had back in the day. There's still an audience for it. It blows my mind. It really does.
Every band you see, you know, someone I was speaking to the other day in America, he'd been speaking to people from the Searchers. Remember the Searchers? So, you know, I guess I was 12 or something. I can't even remember. But they're still going, man. You know, they're all about 140 years old, sort of thing. But anyway,
and there's actually legislation in the United States because of all these legacy acts that they're trying to get legislation passed that you can't call yourself the Temptations,
right?
Unless you've got an original member of the Temptations, and that's ridiculous. That's stupid. There's no original member of the New York Philharmonic.
No.
There's not a single original member of the New York Philharmonic playing violin or oboe in that Philharmonic. So it's a ridiculous thing.
Oh man alive.
Music is music, you know.
Anyway, but you know, when I moved on from Cupid's, I think I found another job in the Melody Maker in London. It was in Yorkshire, a really grotty little town, but they sounded like a fantastic bunch of guys with no money. So I went and did that until someone in London offered me another job, and they were called the Company Roadshow. They didn't get too far, but it was the timing of me joining them. They were just getting hot, and it was just the months before the first big Glastonbury Festival. You know,
Right.
1970 was the one. It was our Woodstock,
Yeah.
and we were playing there. And do you know, I played 5 times, man, and or something you like. I was in the tent in front of the stage chatting with guys, and there's one guy said about the band, and he said, "Oh, can I get up and have a play later?" Yeah. Really nice guy. And he came up. We played some blues and 12 bars.
Right.
And when he gone, he said, "Do you know who that was?" I said, "No, he's great, isn't he?" He said, "That was Dr. John the Night Tripper."
Oh, no way. No way.
That
explains why he was pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's fabulous. Though. I met him in the tent at Glastonbury when I was like 18 or something, like 19. Right.
So did you just say that you played Glastonbury 5 times?
I did. I thought just in that week I played it also. But since then I've played. The last time I played when I was 63. I played electric violin with a psychedelic rock band on the Magic Bubble stage on the dance floor. It's fantastic, man. Thing is about these days, they don't notice you're 63. You know, when we were young, you'd see someone 63 got on with a young band. You think it must be their father bringing their gear. Right. But now, no, it's the guy who taught them. You know, it's wonderful. Yeah, and Christ, 5 times altogether. 7 times I've played at Glastonbury.
Wow, that's a big stage. That's a big deal.
It is. Yeah. And not always in front of massive audiences, but always coming off the end of the day thinking that was beautiful, you know.
Yeah. We don't, we don't have anything as cool as that here. We've got Coachella and you know, festivals like that are so corporate. You know, it's all just a bunch of corporate CEOs and big old RVs pulled out. It's just a money fest. The music's secondary. It's sad.
Yeah, a lot of people say that about Glastonbury because it's so big. But you know, if you know it, it's not. You go, you know, I go to the same field and put my tent in the same place I did 30 years ago, and it's beautiful. The views and the sunrises, and you know that fabulous smell all night of tents and fires burning and being up all night. In fact, I slept on the stage after playing one night. It was about 3-4 in the morning. I thought, right, I'm just going to have to sleep. And I put my sleeping bag on stage, and I was just falling asleep, and somebody lit a fire and started playing bongos in front of the stage. I thought, oh, well, I'm at Glastonbury, man, you know. So.
That's right. You got to roll with the punches. So, Skywhale.
Yeah. Anyway, so then...
lead me into keep the story going.
Yeah. I'd been playing around band after band, and I was getting dissatisfied. I was a session musician as well, and I was getting a little bit not too pleased. So I went back to Yorkshire just to figure out what was going on. And the lovely coincidences that happened in life. One of my friends, Phil, he said, "Listen, let's hitchhike down to St Ives, which is the southern point of Cornwall, you know, a place where you're probably going to get some sunshine. Beautiful place where people go surfing and shit."
I've heard it's nice down there. I've heard Cornwall's nice.
400 or 500 miles anyway, and we got very little money or anything, and we said, "Yeah, let's do it." And would you believe it? We're on the motorway by Bristol, and it started to rain, and it rained, and it rained, and the traffic stopped, and it became night. And in the end, my friend said, "You know, we're near Bristol. I think I know some people in Bristol. Let's just give it a chance." And he remembered 2 girls that he'd met somewhere in Yorkshire, and in a city, it's what, 5 million people now. We found them.
Wow.
We actually found them. Just talking to someone. He just said, "I don't suppose you know a girl called Josie and her friend." He said, "Yeah, we know them. The girls from Yorkshire." Anyway, and so we found somewhere to live for a couple of days. And in the middle of that week, I found the local shopping street, and I was walking along, and Uka was walking towards me, a friend from my hometown who I'd not seen for 10 years.
Wow.
And chat, and told him, and he said, you know, "We've got a very large house, and we've got about four rooms spare. Would you like to?" So all of a sudden, how the hell did that happen? I don't know, man. So I was living in Bristol, and that was the time I thought, right, this is the time for me to start getting this band together. And I had just busy stuff. I was playing a lot of jazz gigs, playing in different bands. And then one of my friends and myself got a house together in Clifton. It's a very nice part of Bristol where I live now. And it didn't work out. I'd been working with him for years, and it didn't work out. So I started looking around, and I found Dougal, the bass player. and he worked in a recording studio, and he'd got hair down his back and crazy clothes, and he'd just got this attitude about music. When he heard what I wanted to do, he said, yeah, let's do that. And before we knew, we found John Bedell, the wonderful little pianist, Roy Dodds, the drummer, who became Fairground Attraction. You remember that song? It's gonna be perfect. He was the drummer on that.
Oh, no way.
And, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Loads of people came through the band, you know, and that's Roy and Dougal and John. And I think then I think one of them, I think maybe it was Stan first, the sax player, came from Yorkshire. And have you heard the flute playing on the Skywhale album? It's ridiculous. He is just a world-class musician. And again, I met him in Yorkshire when we were about 14 or 15. You know, somebody said, we know a guy that plays Farfisa organ. And he came over. And I remember he got a black and yellow check jacket on.
Nice.
He was just, you know, hair and thick glasses. He was like, hang on a minute, it's fucking Manfred Mann. Who's this? You know. And, we started playing together then, and we didn't play together that much. We played in the odd soul band and stuff.
Right.
But then when I got Whale going, he heard about it, and he just came. He just came down to Bristol to see if he could join. And he joined, and then, oh, my golly. And who came along next? And then Paul, the soprano player. And something you will have noticed, some of the double flute playing, some of the very fast, if you listen carefully, a lot of it is two flutes, but some of it's a penny whistle. And it's fantastic. But Paul played, he was from Northumbria, you know, and there's a style called Northumbrian piping, you know, which is...
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And he could do that, man. You know, it's a guy with long, fizzy hair, big, he's like a giant, and yet he could pick up a little penny whistle and go... and everybody started dancing. It was wonderful, you know.
That's pretty cool. I don't think there were a lot of bands that had used penny whistle at that point.
Not playing prog-rock. And and you know, again, we were in our favourite pub where we used to go after rehearsals, and someone said, "Hey, there's a guy in the back thing, a musician," and we told him about you, and he said he's really interested. So we went to meet him straight away, of course. You know, we became the best friends and stayed up all night. And then we started rehearsing regularly. And John and Roy, we parted company at that point. And again, you know, oh, look at these things. Fabulous. That's amazing. Look at that. They're all on there. And for the lovely coincidences, you know, back in those days, we didn't have telephones, right?
Right.
And John and Roy had parted, look at that, had parted company on, say, Friday. And on Saturday, there was a knock on my door, and it was Guayo, who had played, you know, gong, obviously. Look at that, eh?
Oh, man. Cool stuff.
Cool. So, yeah, he played with gong, things like this. He was a well-known guy. He played with Zorch. And I think we'd played with them at one of the really free festivals, Stonehenge, something like that. You know, we did all the really mad, you know. We even played at the Windsor Park Free Festival. You know. There's police helicopters flying around. That was another band.
So the band was obviously you.
Yeah.
You played electric, acoustic, classical guitars, violin, Roland guitar synthesizer. Then Stan played flute and tenor sax. Paul was on the soprano sax, flute, and penny whistle. Oh, there's the penny whistle. Dougal played electric bass.
That's Dougal, by the way.
Dougal Armel.
Dougal Armel.
Dougal Armel. Okay.
Yeah.
Mick Avery on drums.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Your
John
keyboard player's name.
Yeah, Guayo's Epics.
That's one of the coolest names I've ever heard. Guayo Zepics. I think I want to steal that name. And John Schofield plays percussion. Schofield. Interior decoration and massages. Every band needs a masseuse.
Yeah, that was John, man. John was also in a theatre company, which is the funniest psychedelic thing you've ever seen. So he used to bring that stuff into our band, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. It was the time.
Yeah, he was standing next to me. Oh, look at that. I've done such a beautiful job putting the the cover in the centre. That's lovely, isn't it?
I love it. So lovely. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So this came out originally what year?
77, I guess.
77, I think, right? Did it sell? Did anybody care, or was it just like released and nobody? I mean, how did it go?
It was one of those things that we split up and bust up with the record company just as we were finishing it. You know, the one, and you know, we made up afterwards. We fell out, and we went. It didn't really wreck us. We toured Europe straight away after it. And would you believe it? You know, I spoke about hospitals earlier. I had an accident, and I finished playing at the Milky Way. Do you remember what a famous place the Milkweg was in Amsterdam? It was the place to play in Europe.
Oh yeah.
We were there Saturday night, and I was going to swear then, my lung collapsed, man. I was playing like a lunatic, and all of a sudden I thought, I can't breathe too well. Wow. Anyway, I sat down for a bit, and eventually they had to haul me off. And then
you finished the gig, though, right?
I nearly finished the gig, but I didn't finish the tour. But I did hear the tapes of the tour, all made on a little cassette player. And honestly, the job that the guys did of it without me, you know, it was like I don't know, I can't remember. It was a wonderful present when I came out of hospital to listen to it and think, well, it got done even though I wasn't there, you know.
Right.
It took 5 years of hard work, I think, to get to that point, you know.
Wow.
And anyway, on that one, so it didn't sell too well, but I re-released it as a CD in 2006, I believe, on Rockjaw Records, which is my little teeny company. And it's been, you know, as far as downloads goes, it's thousands all the time. You know the one you got CD Baby, and they put it out on all the sites, and it's downloads. And it's been downloaded by the thousands since 2006.
Excellent. And it was never available on CD until then, so it probably did pretty good with the CD people. But we're excited because our good friends at PQR, oh man, they keep putting out the good stuff, man. Oh,
I'm so pleased with that. I tell you, it really is a beautiful piece of work.
Show the PQR. There you go. DJ's PQR. We love you, PQR. Yes, we do.
Good old George. He was so helpful, you know, when he first called me just out of the blue. I guess it was 2 Novembers ago now. And, you know, he said about Skywhale. And I said, oh, you like Skywhale? He said, man, I said, I've been listening to Skywhale for decades. It is one of my favourite amongst all the hundreds. And then, you know, he said, how do you like it released properly and some proper advertising? And I said, okay. And it didn't take very long before we'd signed up, and he paid me up for the start. And then he got me a publishing distribution deal with a Japanese company. And on it goes. It's it's a lovely time.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people people in the music business who haven't heard of me for years as well are calling me up. You know, say, Steve used to play with us in what's it? Oh, I just heard you. He said, he said you made that album like 6 months after I know you, and I've never heard it before. And he said, oh man. And anyway, wonderful.
I think this album fits that description. I'd known about this album. I'd never listened to it before. I knew this. I hadn't heard it until I got my vinyl copy. I knew about Skywhale. I'd read about Skywhale. I knew who you were, but I had never listened to the album.
Oh, it's not strange. I didn't realize that so many people had. But again, you know, I've lived all over the world.
Right.
Well, that's another thing. What I did later.
Let's hear about it. I want some stories. Okay, so Skywhale breaks up, right, and the label implodes, and what do you do next?
Well, I mean, I tried 2 or 3 times. I got finished up with the Steve Robshaw band, and again, just money, and you know, it just became more and more difficult. And playing the type of music I wanted to play became more. So, you know, what I mean, I've been to lean towards more. I don't know, just other things really. And in the end, I can't remember. In the end, I met a guy called Marius Franks in Bristol. You may well come across him. A band called Tabula Rasa.
Oh yeah.
And man, they were playing the most beautiful funk, and they asked me to join. And that was one of the loveliest times I've had. In fact, one of the loveliest times in England that I've had since Skywhale. But I say in England, not long after Skywhale, I was offered a job as a pianist in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I thought, right, that's me away. And I did that for months and months and months. I came home. Oh my God, that's so much. You talked about 50 years ago, man.
Oh yeah, we're gonna put your whole life in 1 hour, Steve.
Yeah, no. So I'll skip a thing. You know, I was sessioning in London. I've played in loads of orchestras, loads of bands, and of course I've taught quite a bit when I've been, you know, when there's not been enough work, and I'd rather teach than play shitty gigs, if you know what I mean.
All right.
I find it more satisfying than playing music I don't want to play, and it's so much easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get paid more in 3 hours teaching than you do in 2 days playing crappy gigs. You know,
it's terrible. And I being in bands, you know how it is. If you're playing the music you hate, you're going to get paid. If you're playing the music you love, it's a freebie, man. And that's always it's always been that way.
Anyway, then the next lovely one came up. I can't remember which one was first. Like I said, I did very well in Copenhagen. I played a lot of gigs. I got a call out of the blue. A friend, do you know Lugano in Switzerland, Lake Lugano? A beautiful, beautiful place in the Alps. And he was in a studio somewhere down there. And I can tell you exactly what the guy said when he called me. He said, I met he called me in England and he was in Switzerland. He said, I spoke to your friend Gwyn. And so I'll tell you what I said to him. He said, he had an incredible 14-piece band who played all over the world. They were fabulous, man. He said, I've been flying guitar players from Italy, Germany, Switzerland, blah, blah, and I cannot find anybody who can do it because the repertoire is so big. He said, do you know anybody who can play anything? And straight away he said, yeah, I do actually. Me.
As a matter of fact, I might know somebody.
He said, do you know anybody who can read anything as well? And he said, yeah. And he said, never. What the same guy said, yeah. And I mean, can I read anything? I don't know. But I mean, I've been reading a lot. I was fast. You know what orchestral players are like. I've been playing orchestras. So he phoned me up, you know, and he said, well, the guy said, you can play anything, can you? I said, yep. Really confidently, you know. And the worst thing, can you read anything? I said, yeah.
I mean, it's like anything else. I haven't, I'm a retired musician. I don't do a whole lot with it. Back in the day, I could take a piece of, you know, a classical guitar piece or a piano piece, and just I was even getting good at sight singing. That was actually harder because I don't have perfect pitch. Sight singing was harder for me, but you know, it's just like anything else. If you do it long enough, if you do it often enough, it becomes like second nature. You know, it's like typing. You don't even think about it anymore. You just do it.
I think about that time as well. Well, certainly in England, you know, most guitarists they didn't bother with reading.
No, it's a rare thing for rock musicians to read music.
All right.
Keyboard players maybe a little more often than guitar players.
That's right, but you know, because I was already playing classical and stuff. As soon as I saw this stuff written down, I thought, "Oh man, this is some." I mean, have you seen things like John McLaughlin written down? Right? It's like,
oh yeah.
What you guys, you know, people like Billy Colvin, those guys, they just read it. They're reading the newspaper at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
But for people like me, anyway, I got the job, and the first thing he did, he said, "Right, I'll send you a ticket to Heathrow, and I'll see you in, oh Christ, where was it? In Munich. I'll meet you in Munich in Germany, and we'll go down to Switzerland, and we'll see the rehearsals." And you know, he took me down straight away, and we went to this beautiful big mansion by a lake where they were all living. And I met up with these guys, about 13 of them, you know, and they were just there was only myself and the drummer that was English. Everyone else spoke French and German and Italian.
Nice.
You know? Great. Anyway, so it took to me quite well, and they said, anyway, we've got a bit of a treat later. So they all got dressed up, and we went off, and we went down the lake, and we drove into this beautiful casino, you know, like real money land. You know what Switzerland's like, you know, that's where the very rich live.
Oh, yeah.
We drove up and we pulled it, and we went in, and they sat me down with a beer talking. There was a band on stage, and it was like watching Chick Corea, man. It was unbelievable. And after about 10 minutes, and also I was sitting next to this beautiful, beautiful lady, and didn't have a clue who she was, ever so friendly. And he came over and he said, "Steve." I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you think of this, man?" I said, "Wow." He said, "Can you do that?" And I said, "Yep." And he said, "Go on then." And my beautiful SG from '68 was on stage next to my Fender amplifier. And I I just blathered it. I read the first one and blew the second one, and he came over straight away and said, "How do you fancy 6 months in Japan for a start?"
Hey, that's all right. I've read that Steve Hackett blew his first gig with Genesis.
Yeah.
Apparently, his first gig.
No, I don't mean blow it. I mean, I just ripped it apart.
Yeah. Now, apparently, Steve Hackett's first gig with Genesis was at University College of London.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently he was terrible. And he admits it. He's like, I was awful. He thought he was getting fired as soon as he walked off the stage. He's like, that's it. It was nice while it lasted, but luckily they gave him a second chance.
What I meant by that, I got on stage and I was so fired. I just blew, the first piece was a reading piece, and I knew he was watching me, and I just sort of looked at him, turned it over, turned it back, and walked away, sort of thing. A bit of a show off, but just to let him know the confidence.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, we worked because after 2 numbers, the guys in the band were clapping, and he just came up and said, Japan 6 months, and it was so well paid and all that. You know how tight it is in Japan, how premium property is. Like 5 people living in the room.
Yeah.
But 12, 13 of us, we all had a beautiful 1-bedroom flat each, right in the middle of Tokyo. If you know, do you know it? I mean, do you know Minato City and Akasaka?
Yeah, I know Tokyo very well.
Yeah, anyway, we lived in beautiful apartments, and we played hundreds and hundreds of times, and it was so tight. It was just fabulous. And then we had about 3 or 4 weeks off, and then we went to live in St. Moritz in Switzerland, right in the top of the mountains. And again, it's a place where your Elizabeth Taylors and Onassis.
Oh yeah, the money people.
The money people, and on that's what it was. This guy's band, he was a sweetheart amongst the rich. They all loved him, yeah.
Right.
And in fact, a really crazy one you like. We were in Tokyo one night, and he came in the dressing room and said, "Do you guys want to go to America for a bit?" And we just went, "Yeah, it'll be all right."
Sure, why not?
And that came later, and Edgar Kaiser Jr., from the White House.
Yeah.
Our band was his favourite band, and he flew over to Japan to see us because he'd just bought the fucking Denver Broncos. He bought the Denver Broncos football club, and he said, "I've got a party, and I want you guys to fly over." And he flew us all, 13 of us, from Tokyo to New York, then down to Denver to play a party for 40 minutes. Gave us a holiday, and then flew us back home again. That was the sort of people that the guy that I worked for knew.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of Sherman Hemsley was a famous American television star. He played George Jefferson on TV. Black family that was poor, and then they got rich, and it's the story of their rise. And apparently the lead, Sherman Hemsley, was like this ginormous fan of Nectar and Gong. So he has David Allen and Gong. They flew him into LA. I guess he had Hollywood. He talked to the mayor of Hollywood and had signs like lined up and down the avenue. Welcome, Gong. And Gong's thinking they're like some big star. Well, we didn't know we were this big in America. No, they weren't. It was just one guy that brought him in, and because he was a big fan. So, that's the thing about prog rock. You don't know who's listening, and rich people like music too,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't necessarily prog rock what we played, but I mean, It was very jazzy and funky, and it was so tight. You know what it's like. It's just a delight to listen to. Remember the first time? I can see it now. I mean, it must be 30 years. God knows how long. I can see them on stage now, and how impressed I was just looking at these guys, thinking, I want to do that. And then for the guys to say, "Can you do that?" And to feel so confident, say, "Yeah." Beautiful, lovely. Bought me tons of shit as well. My God.
So take us to the last few years. What have you been up to? I know your health hasn't been great, but what have you been up to? What can we look forward to? The future of Steve Robshaw. It's got to be bright, man. We got the brand new Skywhale reissue. Things are looking good. What do you got cooking, man?
Yeah, well, like I've been sessioning and working, obviously doing that stuff, and probably like yourself, I've got Logic audio and everything all over. And in fact, I guess there are 14, 15 guitars, just I can see here, over there, there's a piano, and I've got a massive Macintosh and a mixing desk and all that. And
what's that acoustic? What's that acoustic behind you?
This one. These are my. Do you know about this? Classical guitars. I always used to have lots of beautiful. And when I went to Japan, I found some older Takaminis, and they were the most beautiful guitars. And I bought one in '83, and I think it's worth about maybe $2-3 grand now because it's so beautiful. But then, would you believe it? I was walking past a charity shop in Bristol, and I saw one in the window, and I thought, it's almost identical. I went and looked at it, it was £50, and it wasn't a Takamine. It was something like Suzuki or something like that. And guess what? I looked into it, and they were built in the same factory at the same time.
I was just going to say, chances are they're the exact same thing. Yeah.
I've been exported to England, and people were selling them online for £50. So I've got about 6 of them. Yeah.
Well, I gotta share with you, Steve, the darkest day in the history of my life was the day that I lost my Jose Ramirez.
Oh man.
No. You know the Ramirez, right?
Yes, I do, yeah. Oh, what God!
My dad bought me a Jose Ramirez back in 1976 for Christmas one year, and I had it for years and years and years. And then I was in punk rock bands. What are you doing with a $5,000 classical guitar in a punk rock band? Bad things are going to happen. No good things going to happen, man. You can't have a guitar worth more than $10 or $15 if you're playing in a punk band. I should have known better. Oh boy, that was a sad day.
Oh dear.
Yeah, what can you do?
A bit like that. It's like on the album it says Roland guitar synthesizer.
Yeah.
Do you remember the very first Roland? The guitar on the synthesizer.
I do. I didn't remember it was that early. I thought it was more like 79 or 1980.
Yeah. Well, this one anyway. It was 77.
Early one, yeah.
The guy had asked me if I'd demonstrate it, but do you remember you had to have the guitar and the synthesizer? One of them was no good without the other.
Right.
I had a friend, and we were playing somewhere in Bath near Bristol, and he put his guitar against the wall, and somebody walked away with his guitar. So the person had got a useless guitar, and he got a useless guitar. What I mean? Oh, what a shame, eh?
Oh yeah, hey, crime doesn't pay, man. That's a lesson to all you little boys and girls out there. Don't take what's not yours, okay? Karma is real, and it is a bitch. Yeah, man. So we get to the reissue and the Skywhale, their one and only album. It's called The World at Mind's End, and you guys need to buy this. I showed you the vinyl. I showed you the splatter vinyl. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is available. PQ Art does a good job of distribution, because you can find this thing just about anywhere. You pick up your quality prog rock merchandise. You can pick up the Skywhale, and I know Laser CD has it. I know Wayside has it. Just here in the U.S. and if you're about half of my listeners are outside the U.S., where can they get it if they're in the U.K., Steve?
Well, I don't know. Just online. That's all I know, really.
Yeah, just Google it.
Yeah, I know now. If you put Steve Robshaw Skywhale, there's a whole sheet, and there's all the other things about the other bands. Anyway, where you just got to where I got with all this equipment here? I've spent 4.5 years doing my own, the Skywhale 2, but it's not really. It's Steve Robshaw 1.
Yeah.
It's 60% instrumental.
Okay.
And the rest is, we'll call them songs. They've got lyrics.
Uh-oh.
I mean, if you like Skywhale, you're going to like it, because it's the same thing, except I've improved so much,
Oh, yeah.
And like I said about the guitar synthesizer, it's replaced by, the one I've got on the floor now, it's just the size of an ordinary foot pedal.
Right.
And you can just plug it straight into there.
Things have changed a little bit.
Isn't it? And over there behind me, I've got a beautiful electric violin as well, which can plug into the guitar synthesizer quite happily. It's fabulous.
Nice.
Anyway,
So, you know, you look at Skywhale 1 being recorded old school, analog, tape, you know, an old console. What was it? Probably like 16 tracks, something like that. And now today it's unlimited.
I know. It
Wow.
was 8 track, but I mean, the guys, I don't know how they did it.
I don't know how you do it.
With this stuff, we've probably, just 120 tracks as soon as you switch it on before you even bother looking for it.
But to be fair, Stephen, I know you've noticed this when you now with Pro Tools and all these different, you know, software platforms you can record on, you know, you can have 500 tracks on a song. It's almost like too much. It's almost like in the old days, you had 8 tracks. That's it. Figure it out. So you had to be really intentional, right? Every time you hit record, you had to know exactly what you were going to do, exactly what you were trying to accomplish. Now you can just play around, just load it up with track after track and just, you know, see what works, see what doesn't. Are you experiencing any of that kind of overkill on Skywhale 2 as you're working on these tracks? Too many options?
No, not really. No, because I've thought about it for a long time, you know, before I started. And do you know the thing? I used to need an engineer all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I still do, really. I mean, working on your own, it's not as good as having an engineer. You know what I mean? Sitting there doing stuff.
Well, I think everything I do is great.
Yeah.
I do. If I did it, if I said it, if I published it, it's amazing. It's the greatest thing of all time, right? The last song I wrote was the best song I ever wrote. You need somebody in the room to be like, you know what? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
And
maybe you need to listen again.
You know, when you're really flying on an instrument and something goes wrong, you have to stop. And when you've got an engineer there, you don't.
Right.
You know, you just pause and he goes,
exactly.
And then away you go again. And if you're not, you have to put your instrument down, go sit down. You know, and
it's a hard job being, you know, artist and producer too. Yeah.
Anyway, so I think I'll probably get someone in to help for the last part, and especially for mastering. I know just who to go for, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of friends in the business.
Yeah, you've been in the business a long time, so hopefully you actually made a couple of friends. You know, hopefully not too many enemies along the way.
No, I still get offers. You know, I get phone calls once every few months from people in Japan. Are you still playing, Steve? How would you like to do a 3-month tour? And obviously, for the last 5 years in my injuries, I can perhaps do a 2-day tour if you like.
Right. But it's nice to be wanted.
Yeah, and of course, I'm recovering so well. You know, man, 6 months ago I couldn't walk, and now I can walk 2 miles, and that is determination. You know, when my doctor saw the pictures of my spine, she said, "I'm surprised you can ever walk again." So you've got.
How did you damage your spine? What did you do?
Well, you know, like I said about all the hours and hours of practicing, I'd worn my bones down, you know, because I'm a bass player and a slapper and a violinist, and I got osteoporosis. I don't know whether I'd always had it, but it appeared, and as soon as it appeared, my bones started to go soft. I just, like I said earlier, my spine fell in bits. That's one of those things. You don't know you've got a skeleton until it breaks.
And there's some things you just don't think about in life. Right.
Absolutely.
Like I never think about blinking till I got an eyelash in my eye, and now blinking, you know, or like you get a sore throat. You don't think about swallowing, but you know, as soon as you get a sore throat, boy, oh boy, you think about that stuff over and over. And you know, the reality is that as we sit here today on this beautiful March afternoon with Steve Robshaw from Skywhale, I would be remiss if I didn't just add that Skywhale, part of the entire mosaic, right? This fabric of prog rock and progressive music. It started in the UK, right? That's where it was perfected. It actually started in the US, but we don't want to get anybody upset today. The British, you guys perfected it, and here we are. We're left with a legacy of greatness that this channel is dedicated to honoring, preserving, protecting, and promoting the greatest music that was ever written and recorded in the history of mankind. And it happened in the UK in the late 60s and early 70s. Absolutely it did. You can take that Beethoven. You can take that Mozart. I will take Yes and Genesis over Beethoven and Mozart any day of the week. I think it's comparable. I know some people like, oh, you can't talk about it. That's rock and roll. That's stupid. I don't know, man. I'm a musician. I read music. I'm a music theory major. I studied Beethoven at length. Yeah. I studied Mozart and Bach and all of them. And when I study close to the edge, it's every bit as valid. It's every bit as important. It's every bit as majestic as Beethoven's Ninth. And anybody that says differently, you're on the wrong channel, man. Go to a classical music channel if you don't agree with me.
Hey, and do you know what? Talking close to the edge, I saw them play it live, man. Oh, did you ever see? Yes, I saw.
Yeah, the first time I saw him was 76. It was the solo albums tour. So it was basically the Relayer tour, because they started out the tour doing a lot of stuff off the 5 solo albums. That didn't last. Nobody wants to hear John play a harp solo for a half an hour. Come on, man. Yeah. Nobody wants that, So by the time I saw them, I think they played 5 minutes of the solo albums, and the rest of it was basically the same set list as the Relayer tour. But I was 13, 14 years old, and I went super early to the Milwaukee arena. I got there 7 or 8 hours early, and I just was walking around waiting for tour buses or whatever. And finally emerging from a tour bus was John Anderson and Patrick Moraz, and I got to meet them and talk to them. They spent about a half an hour with your boy, talking to a little kid. I thought that was actually really sweet. They didn't have to do that. I'm sure they had other things to do, sound checks and this, that, and the other thing. And they actually took their time out to talk to some stupid little kid in Milwaukee, Wisconsin back in 76. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, because they were my favorite band back then. They're my favorite band now. Nothing will ever change that. Oh, yeah. I'm a Yes fanatic. I am.
I have so many, I said excited about seeing Frank Zappa at the Albert Hall.
In 68.
You should have seen the thing that happened. I guess it was Jimmy Carl Black playing the drum.
Yeah, Jimmy Carl Black was the drummer, yeah. I'm Jimmy Carl Black, and I'm the Indian of the group.
Yeah. And he got a green and white striped shirt and green and white striped socks. And all of a sudden in the middle, he got off his drums and he walked over to the piano and he started playing Chopin.
Wow.
He was the drummer,
Jimmy?
Yeah. And,
wow.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. But do you know what he did then? This is so funny. Can you see the inside of the Albert Hall? It's just like any other laird.
Right.
Goes right up to the top. There's the famous Albert Hall organ. Massive, great pipes. And Jimmy Carl Black, he got off the piano, and he didn't walk up the stairs. There was an all crowd of people in tuxedos, who I guess were the orchestra that were playing earlier, and they'd waited to watch Frank Zappa. And he climbed over them. They were all laughing. And he climbed up to the organ at the top of the stairs, and it was obviously switched on purpose. He opened the lid and he turned around and he went, dun, 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 dun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man alive, after playing Chopin, and the band joined in, and it just,
from Chopin to the Trogs.
To the Trogs, yeah.
Right, I mean, that's awesome. And, you talk about Zappa and Jimmy Carl Black. It got me thinking, did Zappa have some secret powers? How did he get every great drummer that ever lived to play on his records? And it started with Jimmy Carl. I mean, I love Jimmy Carl Black. And then you got Vinny, and you got Bazio, and you got Chester Thompson. I mean, there's just a list of people that played drums with Zappa. Insane.
Yeah. And all of them were such immaculate. I mean, Ruth Underwood. I mean, my God. Oh, dear.
Inca Rhodes, man.
Well, do you know the reason I mentioned that? Though, I think one of the next most impressive gigs, I saw Weather Report right at the time of Heavy Weather, Birdland.
Was Jocko there?
Oh man, Jocko was there waiting for.
I played with Jocko.
And as soon as they started playing that, you know that tune, It almost makes me cry thinking about it. That's Joe Zawinul wrote that, and I guess he did. What a
Joe's
life.
amazing.
Absolutely.
I actually got to play with Jocko one time. He was doing like a little tour right before he died. He was doing like a tour of universities and colleges. So he played with our jazz band at college, and that was amazing. I was playing guitar at the time. And then a couple of weeks later, I switched over to bass, and Buddy Rich came to the college, and he played with the jazz band. And after which he told me the greatest words I've ever heard in my life. Buddy Rich looked at me and he said, "Buddy, you're the worst bass player I've ever played with in my life." Seriously, he told me that, and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't like jazz. I hate jazz, and I'm gonna play your jazz charts like Chris Squire or something." I didn't get it. Jazz is my dad's music. I never understood it. I know the charts, I know the chords, I know the moves, man. I know all the jazz moves, but it doesn't, it doesn't get me right here, and it never did. It was my dad's music. I love Miles. I love Coltrane. Dave Brubeck is somebody I care greatly about his music, but it was always rock and roll for me, man.
I tell you what, though, with me, I'm torn. Every time I watch Oscar Peterson play, I nearly die. It's just you. I mean, he does more with his left hand than three pianists do. You know what I mean? And he doesn't even look. I mean, seeing what he's doing with his left hand and he's playing. And the amount of bark that comes into his lines.
Have you seen that video of Keith Emerson and Oscar Peterson? No. Apparently they were on some like talk show or something in America, and next thing you know, it's just like dueling pianos. Both dudes start playing piano. Oscar Peterson versus Keith Emerson. Wow. Look that up, man. That's so good. I mean, it's one of the great moments in the history of the world. Oh yeah. I wish I could claim Oscar, but I guess he's a Canadian, so
yeah.
All right, Steve, any final words? What else you got going on? What else do you want to tell my peeps today?
Oh, just to watch out for Skywhale and let the thing spread over the world at last.
That's right.
And wait for my next edition, which I'm sure you'll all know about quite soon, I think.
We can't wait, man. I'm excited. I love this album way more than I thought I would. It's really, really cool. I love the artwork. Quality package by PQR. So if you're interested, go to YouTube. You can listen to some of the music there. If you like what you're hearing, and I know you will. If you like what you're hearing, go to PQR, pick up a copy of this. I think there's a few left. He hasn't sold out quite yet. So let's try to sell this thing out, make George happy. And
then we can print some more.
That's right. Keep him off my back. He's always like, you need to do this. You need to do that. I'm like, oh man, you know what? I guess we all work for George at the end of the day.
I don't mind at all.
Nice. He's a good guy, and I'm dead serious, boys and girls. Check out Skywhale. Go to D's Case PQR. Pick up the vinyl. It's a beautiful package, and it's a fantastic record. Really, really good stuff, Steve. I'm sorry it took 5 months to get you on the channel.
Yeah, well, I've been so ill, man, but I'm real good now, as you can see. Yeah. Glorious.
Awesome. My guest today was Steve Robshaw from Skywhale. Oh, yeah. Like I said, do yourself a favor. Go to D's Case PQR. Pick up a copy of it today. You'll thank me tomorrow. Absolutely. Anyway, boys and girls, I love you. Peace in the Middle East. Free the Ukraine. Free Tibet. Free the Epstein Files. Free beer. Free Willie. And God save the king, Steve. Oh, save that king. King Chucky needs your saving. I heard that boy's got the cancer. Bring him to America. Oh, yeah. Bring him to Ohio. Ohio's the heart of America, Steve. It really is. And we'll take good care of that boy with thoughts and prayers and spells and incantations. Oh, yeah. We're going to drink poison, and then we're going to put the armor of God on us, and we're going to dance with them snakes, Steve. Oh, yeah. Oh, the snakes ain't going to get us because we got the armor of God on us. Oh, they can bite, but no. Oh, Oh, I've been snake bit. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.